warning all who ventured near of its cursed legacy. But not everything perished when Morgoth fell. The Valar assault on Angband shattered much of its structure, yet its deepest pits and hidden chambers were left untouched. Tolkien himself suggested that what lay buried in those shadows might never be fully known. What horrors could still be slumbering in the blackness? Could remnants of Morgoth's malice persist, lurking in wait? Even Sauron, Morgoth's most loyal servant, chose never to return to Angband. Perhaps he feared what he might find there, or perhaps he knew that its evil ran too deep even for him. The ruins of Angband stand as more than a reminder of a war long past. They symbolize the price of unchecked ambition, of corruption that twists not just life, but the very land itself. The devastation Morgoth wrought scarred Middle-earth for ages. The rivers surrounding Angband remained poisoned, the skies above darkened, and the land barren and lifeless. It was as though the fortress itself rejected the idea of healing, as if Morgoth's presence had corrupted its very essence. This is what makes Angband unique among Middle-earth's ruins. It wasn't a place of forgotten glory or noble tragedy. It was a fortress built for torment, a monument to cruelty. To stand near it, or even imagine venturing into its depths, meant confronting the weight of all the evil Morgoth had unleashed. And for those who knew its history, that shadow was inescapable. Even after the Valar's intervention brought peace to Middle-earth, Angband's shadow was far from extinguished. The fortress had been a nexus of Morgoth's power, and its remnants carried a legacy of fear and corruption. Unlike other strongholds that fell and were reclaimed, Angband was abandoned, avoided by even the boldest adventurers and the most desperate treasure-seekers. The fortress was not simply a ruin. It was a wound, a scar upon the northern reaches of the world, left to fester. The mystery surrounding Angband deepened because its depths were never fully explored. During the War of Wrath, the Valar and their host focused on breaking Morgoth's armies and capturing him. The upper layers of Angband were obliterated, but the caverns below, they remained untouched. Tolkien's works hint that these dark tunnels might still hold traces of Morgoth's terrible experiments, cursed artifacts, corrupted creatures, and perhaps even echoes of the Dark Lord's malevolent essence. This is where the fear of Angband truly comes to life. It's not just a place of historical importance, it's a place of active dread. Stories tell of Balrogs fleeing into the deepest recesses of the earth after Morgoth's fall, evading the cleansing light of the Valar. Could Angband's depths harbor such creatures still? Could a dragon, wounded but alive, have slithered back into the ruins to nurse its hatred and guard some long-forgotten treasure? These questions are what make Angband's silence so terrifying. It's the silence of something unfinished, something waiting. Even the land around Angband was a testament to its evil. Poisoned rivers, lifeless plains, and skies that never fully brightened. These were scars that Middle-earth bore long after Morgoth's banishment. In The Silmarillion, Tolkien describes the devastation left by the War of Wrath, with entire regions submerged beneath the sea. But the area surrounding Angband didn't need such dramatic destruction to mark it. It became a place where life could not thrive, where the very air felt heavy with despair. For those who lived through the First Age, the idea of returning to Angband would have been unthinkable. Yet, its existence loomed large in the collective memory of Middle-earth. It was a place that could never be truly forgotten, not by the elves who remembered the torment Morgoth brought to their kin, not by men whose ancestors had suffered under his shadow, and certainly not by the Valar who had seen the full extent of Morgoth's defiance firsthand. Angband wasn't just a fortress, it was a legacy, a reminder of how far Morgoth had fallen from his origins as the most powerful of the Ainur. It was the physical embodiment of his rebellion, his cruelty, and his ultimate failure. And as long as it stood, even in ruin, it would remain a symbol of the darkness that once threatened to consume Middle-earth. But Angband's legacy wasn't just about the physical destruction it represented. It was about the lingering influence of Morgoth's corruption on the world. Middle-earth itself bore the marks of his reign. The poisoned waters and blighted lands surrounding Angband were only the surface-level scars. The deeper, more insidious effects were felt in the hearts and minds of its people. Morgoth's ambition and malice had sown seeds of division and mistrust among the free peoples, scars that would take generations to heal, if they could be healed at all. Even after Morgoth's defeat, his shadow lived on in the memory of those who survived the First Age. For the elves, it was a haunting reminder of their battles in Beleriand, of the kingdoms they lost, and of the countless lives sacrificed in the wars against the Dark Lord. For men, it was a symbol of the trials their ancestors endured, standing in defiance against overwhelming darkness. And for those who came after, like the people of the Second and Third Ages, Angband became a legend, a story to warn of the dangers of unchecked power and ambition. What's most haunting, though, is what Tolkien left unsaid. In his letters, he hints at the possibility that Angband's deepest pits might still harbor secrets. Imagine what could lie in those unexplored depths. Vaults filled with cursed treasures, remnants of Morgoth's experiments, or forbidden knowledge that even the Valar could not, or dared not, destroy. These aren't just hypothetical dangers. In The Silmarillion and The Lord of the Rings, we see how relics of the past, like the One Ring or the Palantiri, can resurface to wreak havoc in later ages. Angband's ruins might hold similar horrors waiting for someone foolish or ambitious enough to uncover them. Even Sauron, Morgoth's most trusted servant, seemed to recognize this danger. After his master's fall, he did not claim Angband for himself. Instead, he fled to Mordor, a place far removed from Morgoth's shadow. Was it a calculated move to distance himself from his old master? Or did he fear the remnants of Morgoth's power that might still linger in Angband? Either way, his avoidance of the fortress speaks volumes about the darkness that still resided there. The fear of Angband wasn't limited to its physical remains. Its legacy acted as a magnet for evil. Orcs, trolls, and other creatures shaped by Morgoth's corruption were instinctively drawn to the remnants of his power. Even in ruins, Angband might have served as a gathering point for malevolent forces, a dark beacon calling out to those attuned to its lingering malice. This is the enduring danger of such places. They don't simply disappear when their master falls. They persist, waiting for a new evil to rise. To this day, Angband remains one of Middle-earth's most chilling symbols. It's not just a story of the past. It's a warning for the future. What Morgoth created in his ambition and hatred didn't vanish with him. It left a stain on the world, one that Middle-earth's inhabitants would carry for ages. As Tolkien often wrote, evil is not easily undone, and Angband is perhaps the clearest reminder of that truth. For all its terror and tragedy, Angband also serves as a grim example of Morgoth's ultimate failure. The fortress, once the center of his dominion, now stands as a desolate reminder of his fall from grace. Morgoth began as Melkor, the mightiest of the Ainur, gifted with immense power and wisdom. But his ambition and desire for dominion led him down a path of corruption. Angband wasn't just his fortress, it was his rebellion against the Valar made manifest, a place where his malice was forged into physical form. This is what makes Angband's ruins so haunting. They don't just represent a battle lost or a kingdom destroyed. They represent a war against the very fabric of creation itself. Morgoth poured so much of his essence into his creations, his fortress, his creatures, his plans for domination, that when he was finally defeated, he was diminished beyond recognition. As Tolkien described in the Silmarillion, Morgoth's dispersion of power into the world left him weakened, unable to recover from the very ambitions that once made him great. Even the mighty fortifications of Angband, built to withstand the wrath of the Valar, could not escape destruction. The War of Wrath, fought at the end of the First Age, brought devastation on an unprecedented scale. The host of Valinor, led by the Valar themselves, descended upon Morgoth's forces with overwhelming might. Mountains were leveled, rivers were redirected, and entire regions were submerged beneath the sea. Angband, for all its iron gates and deep tunnels, could not hold against such a force. Yet, as we've seen, its deepest shadows endured. What remains most unsettling about Angband is the unknown. Its ruins might still hold artifacts of immense power, objects tainted by Morgoth's touch that could corrupt anyone who found them. In Tolkien's world, such artifacts are not mere relics. They are extensions of the will of those who created them. The Silmarils, the One Ring, the Palantiri, all of these show how objects can carry the essence of their maker for good or ill. If anything remains in Angband's depths, it could carry with it the last echoes of Morgoth's malice. This uncertainty, this potential for lingering evil, is what makes Angband's story feel so alive. Unlike the ruins of other fortresses or cities in Middle-earth, Angband isn't just a place of historical significance. It's a place of present danger, a reminder that the past is never truly gone. Whether or not anyone dares to explore its depths, Angband's influence remains, shaping the fears and legends of those who live in its shadow. Perhaps that's why Tolkien left Angband's final fate so open-ended. It wasn't meant to be a closed chapter, but a lingering question. What secrets still lie buried beneath its ruins? What horrors could be awakened if someone disturbed them? These unanswered questions are part of what makes Middle-earth feel so real. A world where the echoes of past evils continue to shape the present, and where even a place as desolate as Angband can still hold power over the imagination. The fear surrounding Angband wasn't just about what had happened there, but also what it could mean for the future of Middle-earth. Tolkien's works repeatedly emphasize how the remnants of past evils have a way of resurfacing. We've seen this with Sauron, who rose from the ashes of Morgoth's defeat, crafting his own dominion with echoes of his former master's cruelty. The ruins of Angband, with their unexplored depths, carry the same potential. What if something, or someone, were to awaken the dormant darkness within? This fear wasn't unfounded. In The Lord of the Rings, we're reminded of Durin's Bane, the Balrog that hid deep within Moria for millennia. It was a creature that had served Morgoth in the First Age, only to resurface in the Third. If one Balrog could remain hidden for so long, what else might have evaded the Valar's purging during the War of Wrath? The pits of Angband, darker and deeper than any known place in Middle-earth, could easily harbor such terrors. And it's not just creatures like Balrogs that might pose a threat. The artifacts of Morgoth's creation could be just as dangerous. Imagine the twisted relics forged in the forges of Angband. Blades cursed to corrupt their wielders, scrolls inscribed with forbidden knowledge, or even remnants of Morgoth's experiments in creating life. These objects wouldn't merely be tools, they would be traps designed to ensnare the hearts and minds of anyone who sought to wield them. This is why Angband wasn't merely avoided, it was actively shunned. Its desolation wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. The corruption that Morgoth left behind seemed to infect the very air, the land, and even the minds of those who came too close. Stories from the First and Second Ages speak of travelers who lost themselves near Angband, consumed by madness or despair. It was as if the fortress itself rejected life, ensuring that no one could ever reclaim it or its surroundings. Even Sauron, whose ambition knew no bounds, kept his distance from Angband. Instead of returning to his master's stronghold, he chose Mordor as the base of his operations. This decision might seem strategic at first glance, but it raises questions. Did Sauron fear the lingering presence of Morgoth's will in Angband? Did he believe that claiming his old master's domain would diminish his own power? Or was Angband simply too steeped in darkness even for him? In the end, Angband is more than just a ruin. It's a symbol of the enduring power of evil, a reminder that some wounds never truly heal. Its story isn't just about the past. It's about the dangers of forgetting. As Tolkien himself wrote, it is perilous to study too deeply the arts of the enemy, for good or for ill. Angband stands as a testament to this truth, a place where the shadows of the past continue to shape the future. The enduring mystery of Angband lies not only in its physical ruins, but also in the psychological grip it holds over the history of Middle-earth. While the Valar and their host sought to cleanse the world of Morgoth's influence, they understood that his malice could never be fully erased. This is what sets Angband apart from other strongholds. It wasn't just destroyed, it was abandoned, left as a silent monument to an evil too vast and ancient to be entirely undone. One of the most chilling aspects of Angband is the possibility that Morgoth's touch still lingers within its deepest recesses. Tolkien never explicitly confirms what might remain, but the uncertainty itself is terrifying. In The Silmarillion, the narrative describes Morgoth's deliberate act of pouring his power into the physical world, including the very stones of Angband. What does that mean for the ruins left behind? Could they still resonate with his malice, influencing anyone who ventures too close? And then there's the idea of Angband as a magnet for darkness. Creatures like orcs and trolls, bred and twisted in its forges, might instinctively gravitate back to the place of their creation. Even after Morgoth's defeat, these creatures didn't vanish. They scattered, seeking refuge in the dark corners of the world. It's not hard to imagine some of them returning to Angband, drawn by a faint echo of their master's will. In this way, the fortress remains a focal point for evil, even in its desolation. But what of those who might seek Angband out, not in fear, but in ambition? In Tolkien's world, power often tempts the unwary. From Feanor's tragic obsession with the Silmarils to Isildur's refusal to destroy the One Ring, Middle-earth's history is full of cautionary tales about the allure of forbidden strength. The ruins of Angband, with their possible troves of dark artifacts and hidden knowledge, would be a dangerous temptation for anyone foolish enough to explore them. This potential for resurgence is what makes Angband's story feel so alive, even in its supposed dormancy. Unlike other ruins in Middle-earth, Angband's destruction didn't mark the end of its influence. Instead, it became a sleeping giant, its shadows reaching across the ages, shaping fears and fueling legends. Every whisper of Balrogs, every tale of cursed treasures, and every rumor of dark forces rising again can trace its roots, in part, back to Angband. Ultimately, Angband is more than just a location in Middle-earth's history. It's a reminder of how deeply evil can entrench itself, leaving marks that no amount of victory can completely erase. Morgoth may be gone, but the fortress he built and the corruption he sowed continue to haunt the world. And as long as its ruins stand, Angband will remain a place of foreboding, a reminder that the battle against darkness is never truly over.